All right, so you think you know YouTube, huh? Get ready to go deeper. We're diving into the real origin story of YouTube, folks. Not just the dinner party and cats version everyone throws around. We're going deep with Steve Chen's firsthand account, stories from early employees, and even Sequoia Capital's perspective. Those are the venture capitalists who funded the whole thing.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. You start looking at YouTube's history and you realize they almost failed a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, from the original concept to the tech challenges,
Yeah.
even just finding a decent office space, it's a testament to, I think, being able to adapt and having that really clear vision.
Totally. And speaking of the early days, one thing that really stuck out to me was how different the internet was back then. Like, I remember it being a pain to just find a video online. It wasn't as simple as just, typing it into a search bar and boom, a million results.
Oh, for sure. Before YouTube came along, sharing videos, man, it was the Wild West. You had to deal with these clunky downloads, limited file types, and let's not forget the bandwidth, right? Barely enough to handle a short clip, let alone a full video.
Exactly.
And, there were sites trying to make it work, like Share Your World, Metacafe, even Vimeo was around back then. But they all ran into the same problem. The technology just wasn't there yet.
So they were trying to solve a real problem, not just building something, cool for the sake of it. And speaking of solving problems, I was pretty surprised to learn that the YouTube founders, well, they didn't start with what we know today, their first idea, a video dating site. Crazy, right?
Oh, it's true. They were inspired by Hot or Not. Can you believe it? The whole idea was like awkward self-introductions and randomly playing videos. Not exactly the YouTube we all know and love.
Not even close.
But here's the thing. That pivot, moving away from the dating site idea, that was key. EY. Showed they weren't afraid to scrap a bad idea. And even though they kind of stumbled onto it, that's how they discovered the gold mine. User-generated content.
Which, I mean, is basically the core of YouTube today, right?
Totally. And that brings us to the founders, Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Jawed Karim. These guys were part of the so-called PayPal mafia.
Oh, yeah, right. Like Silicon Valley's exclusive club. So what did that PayPal connection really mean for YouTube in those early days?
It was huge. I mean, think about it. You had this group of super talented, ambitious people all working together at this, groundbreaking company. It's no wonder so many of them went on to create these tech giants, right?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
For YouTube, this whole network meant access to amazing engineers, advisors who'd already been there and done that. Probably a healthy dose of competition, too, pushing them to be better.
I'd love to know what kind of conversations were happening around the water cooler back then at PayPal. Must have been wild. But, okay, let's get a little technical for a minute. YouTube was one of the first platforms to really use Flash Player 8. For those of us who aren't, coding wizards, why was that such a big deal?
Oh, man, Flash Player 8, that was revolutionary for online video. Before that, you had to download videos, wait for them to buffer. It was a mess, tons of compatibility issues. Flash Player 8 changed everything. Instant playback right in your browser, no downloads, and it supported pretty much any video type. It was a game changer for the user experience, made online video enjoyable for, well, everyone.
Yeah, but all that convenience had to come at a cost, right? Didn't YouTube's use of Flash Player 8 put a ton of strain on the internet's infrastructure?
Oh, absolutely. There was a point where YouTube was using up something like 40% of the entire internet's bandwidth. Hosting companies were freaking out, trying to keep up with the demand. YouTube's traffic, all those videos, it was pushing data transfer and server capacity to the limit. It was insane, really, like setting the internet on fire.
Wow, they were really pushing the boundaries, weren't they? So I know they were early adopters of managed cloud hosting, but even that wasn't enough to handle their crazy growth. I read that they actually had to start building their own data centers just to keep up. What was that like for them?
It was wild, to say the least. You have to remember, this is back when you had to physically order servers weeks in advance, wait for them to be delivered, then install everything in these giant data centers. And they were a small team working nonstop just to keep the site running.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask about the MySpace rivalry. Back then, MySpace was social media, right? So how did that actually help YouTube grow initially?
It was a huge factor. Think about it. MySpace had millions of users, everyone creating profiles, connecting with friends, sharing stuff. YouTube tapped into that, let people embed videos directly on their MySpace pages. Perfect storm, really. YouTube got this massive audience, and MySpace users got a new way to express themselves.
Sounds like a win-win. But then, didn't things go south? I read that MySpace actually tried to ban YouTube videos from their platform. What was that all about? And how did YouTube survive such a blow from, Well, the biggest social network at the time.
Yeah, looking back, it seems crazy. But Rupert Murdoch, MySpace's owner, he saw YouTube as a threat. He wanted to launch his own video platform,
Yeah.
didn't want YouTube stealing the show.
Makes sense, I guess.
So, yeah, they went to extremes, banned YouTube videos, even censored any mention of it on their site. Crazy, right?
Totally. So how did YouTube recover from that? It sounds like a death sentence for a young company.
It was like David versus Goliath. But YouTube fought back smart. They used their community, got their users to contact MySpace, complain about the ban. It was online activism, pure and simple. And it worked. Within days, MySpace had to back down, lift the ban. It showed how vulnerable YouTube was, but also the power of their community.
Powerful stuff. So while all this was happening, they were also burning through cash. They needed serious money just to keep the servers running and the lights on. That's when Sequoia Capital, the firm that backed Apple and Google, they swooped in, invested millions for a 30% stake in YouTube. But a lot of people thought they were nuts at the time. Why was Sequoia so willing to gamble on them?
Sequoia is good at spotting potential, even when everyone else sees risk. They looked past the dating site failure, the early chaos. They saw a shift, a big one. People wanted to create and share videos, and YouTube was the platform to do it. They believed it could be the destination for user-generated video, and, well, their bet paid off big time.
Yeah, I'd say so. But even with Sequoia's money, YouTube still had a massive problem. Copyright infringement. Remember, it was the Wild West of online video, everyone uploading copyrighted stuff left and right. Didn't they face lawsuits from, like, NBC Universal?
Oh, yeah, the copyright issue was a ticking time bomb. Takedown notices flying everywhere, legal threats piling up. They knew they needed a solution, and fast. This wasn't just a legal headache. It could destroy their whole business model.
So what did they do? Ignore it and hope it went away?
Not quite. They initially partnered with a company called Audible Magic. They specialized in, identifying audio and video. So YouTube could scan uploads for copyrighted material, then give rights holders the option, take the video down or share in the ad revenue.
Interesting. But, I mean, was that enough to satisfy those big players like the music industry?
It was a start, but the lawsuits kept coming. One meeting, specifically with the Universal Music Group, really showed how much trouble they were in.
What happened?
Well, Universal, one of the biggest record labels, basically tried to force YouTube to pay them hundreds of millions of dollars. It was David versus Goliath again. And the founders realized they needed a way to fight back.
So they were battling lawsuits, sky-high costs, pressure from the music industry. Sounds like they were trapped. Was there any way out of this mess?
They knew fighting all those legal battles alone could bankrupt them. So they started thinking about selling YouTube, finding a bigger company, someone with the resources and legal muscle to help them survive.
Makes sense, but it must have been hard to let go of their creation like that. Who were they considering, and why did they ultimately choose Google?
It was crazy, a whirlwind of meetings. They talked to media giants like News Corp, Viacom, tech companies, Microsoft, Yahoo. It became a bidding war, showed just how valuable YouTube had become. But in the end, they went with Google, who offered a mind-blowing $1.65 billion.
Wow, so why Google? What made them the right fit?
A few things. Google had the money and the lawyers to handle the copyright mess. They also had the technical know-how and global reach to help YouTube grow even bigger. Plus, Google's whole mission, organizing the world's information, it aligned with YouTube's goal, making video accessible to everyone.
Sounds like a perfect match, but I'm sure the acquisition wasn't all smooth sailing. What was that transition like for the YouTube team?
Oh, it was chaotic. They had 1 week to finalize the deal, negotiate with those record labels, and move their entire operation into Google's offices. Talk about pressure.
I bet there were some sleepless nights. But even after the acquisition, didn't the legal battles continue? Wasn't there a massive lawsuit from Viacom claiming that YouTube was still hosting copyrighted content?
You're right. The drama didn't stop. Shortly after the deal, Viacom sued Google for over $1 billion, claiming YouTube wasn't doing enough to prevent copyright infringement. It was a huge legal showdown with huge implications for, well, the whole future of online video.
So YouTube's early days were a roller coaster, huh? Near-death experiences, incredible victories, technical challenges, fighting off lawsuits, and finally finding a home with Google. It's amazing they managed to change the way we watch and share videos. What a story.
Totally. It shows the power of vision, being able to adapt, and taking risks. They were pioneers, and their journey is fascinating, a real case study in how a new technology can disrupt an entire industry. But we're just getting started. Welcome back. We've talked about YouTube's Pretty chaotic beginnings, but now I think it's time to dig into the WHY. Like, why did this platform become so central to our lives? Why do we all use it?
And you've mentioned this idea of YouTube democratizing content creation. What does that actually look like, in practice?
Well, think about it. Before YouTube, who had the power to broadcast their ideas to a massive audience, TV networks, movie studios, these big media companies, they controlled the narrative. YouTube changed all that.
So suddenly, anyone with a webcam and internet connection could share their thoughts, their talents, whatever they were passionate about with the world.
Exactly. And that created this ripple effect. We saw the rise of citizen journalism, educational channels teaching everything from, astrophysics to cooking. And of course, the birth of the influencer.
It's funny, those early YouTube stars, they weren't actors, musicians, traditional celebrities. They were just regular people who connected with audiences because they were authentic, creative. Do you have any favorite examples from those early days?
Oh, tons. People like Smosh, Lisa Nova, Geriatric 1927. They were pioneers, creating a new kind of fame, a fame built on, relatability, directly engaging with fans. It was totally different from traditional media where there's this wall between celebrities and their audience.
And YouTube tore down that wall. You could comment directly on a video, talk to the creator, even collaborate on projects. It created this sense of community interactivity that we hadn't really seen before.
Exactly. And that led to new forms of creativity, collaboration. Remember those early YouTube collabs? Creators teaming up to make videos, sharing audiences, helping each other grow.
Yeah, it felt like a real community back then. Everyone was experimenting, learning from each other, having fun.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't forget the educational side of YouTube, right? It's become this giant library of knowledge.
Absolutely. Want to learn a new language? Fix your sync. Understand quantum physics. Chances are there's a YouTube video for that. It's amazing how this access to information has democratized education, right? People can learn whatever they want at their own pace.
It's like a global classroom, breaking down those geographical barriers. But YouTube's impact goes beyond, just individuals, doesn't it? It's changed how we consume news, how we engage with politics.
You're right. Think about the 2007 Democratic presidential debates, the ones hosted on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was a turning point. He showed that YouTube could shape political discourse, give ordinary citizens a voice in the process.
It was groundbreaking. Voters could ask candidates questions directly, no need for, those traditional media gatekeepers.
Right.
It was a direct line between politicians and the people they represented.
And that's continued to evolve. YouTube's become a platform for political commentary, activism, even social movements. It's a powerful tool for sharing information, mobilizing communities, challenging the status quo.
Of course, with that power comes responsibility, right? There's a dark side to YouTube, too. The spread of misinformation, hate speech, harmful content.
That's true. YouTube, being so open, means it can be used for good and bad. They've had a lot of challenges trying to moderate content, find that balance between free speech and, protecting users from harmful stuff.
It's a tough issue, no easy answers. And it raises some big questions about the role of these tech platforms, how they shape public discourse, influence society.
It's an ongoing debate, one that's going to keep shaping the internet. But one thing's for sure, YouTube's influence is huge. It's changed how we get information, how we connect, how we understand the world.
So what does all this mean for, the average person? How has YouTube actually changed our lives?
Well, it's become a source of entertainment, education, news, community. Even income for some people. It's given a voice to those who weren't being heard before, empowered individuals to share their stories. It's connected people across, geographical and cultural boundaries. It's really a powerful tool.
It's hard to imagine life without it now.
Yeah, it's woven into our daily routines.
Our habits, our culture.
And its impact keeps growing, right? The platform's always evolving, adapting to new tech, new trends. We've seen the rise of mobile viewing, virtual reality, live streaming. YouTube's constantly innovating, pushing the limits of what's possible.
It's interesting to think about how YouTube's early financial struggles actually shaped how they support creators today. I mean, they tried those traditional advertising models at first, but investors were skeptical.
Oh, yeah. Investors weren't convinced YouTube could be profitable. The bandwidth costs were huge. The copyright lawsuits were looming. Their first attempts at making money, they didn't really work out.
So did they try charging users like a premium subscription? What was the turning point?
They tried a bunch of things, but the breakthrough came when they shifted to a more, I guess you could say, user-centric approach. They focused on helping creators earn money from their content.
That's when they launched the YouTube Partner Program, right, where creators get a share of the ad revenue from their videos.
Exactly. And that changed everything. It encouraged creators to make high-quality stuff, and it helped build this sustainable ecosystem where both YouTube and the creators could, thrive financially.
And that model, it's the foundation for the whole creator economy we see today, right? People building careers by making content on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. It's amazing how YouTube's early struggles led to this, innovative approach.
It shows the power of user-generated content, how online platforms can give individuals the tools to, make money from their passions. But this shift towards a creator-centric model, it created new challenges too.
Like what?
Well, YouTube had to figure out how to distribute that ad revenue fairly, prevent fraud and abuse, and make sure creators were being treated ethically. These are ongoing challenges, constantly evolving as the platform grows and the creator economy gets more complex.
Sounds like a tough balancing act. They need to support creators, protect users, and keep the whole platform sustainable.
Exactly. It's a work in progress, always.
So we've seen YouTube go from this tiny startup to a global giant, right? Changing the media landscape, empowering creators, revolutionizing how we watch and interact with videos. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And as we move into the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore YouTube's lasting legacy, how it keeps evolving, and the challenges it faces in this ever-changing digital world.
We're back, ready to wrap things up, our deep dive into YouTube. It's been a wild ride from those crazy early days to, well, the impact YouTube has on all of us today. But I gotta ask, what's next for YouTube? What trends are shaping its future? What does that tell us about where the internet's heading?
Ooh, good question. One of the biggest things is the shift to mobile viewing. People aren't just watching YouTube on their desktops anymore. It's on smartphones, tablets, smart TVs, you name it.
Yeah, for sure. That's got to change the kind of content that works on YouTube, right?
Totally. We're seeing way more short videos, stuff designed for when you're on the go, and less focus on super high production quality. It's all about being authentic and feeling immediate, especially in this mobile world.
So are the days of long videos on YouTube numbered? Those deep dives, documentaries, tutorials, are those going away?
Not necessarily. I think there's always going to be a place for that kind of content, especially when it comes to teaching people stuff or telling really good stories.
Yes.
But creators have to adapt, right? Got to think about how to keep those viewers engaged who are constantly moving and scrolling.
Maybe it's about finding creative ways to offer bite-sized versions of the longer stuff, almost like a trailer, to hook people in and then lead them to the full video.
Exactly. It's all about meeting the audience where they are, giving them what they want, how they want it. And that kind of leads to another big trend, personalization. YouTube's algorithm, it's already pretty good at suggesting videos based on what you've watched before. But imagine it getting even smarter.
You mean tailoring recommendations to someone's interests, their mood, even the time of day?
Yep. It's about crafting a truly personalized experience, not just suggesting, here's another video you might kind of like. We could even see interactive content where viewers choose their own adventure, influence a story, or participate in live events.
Whoa, that sounds almost like a video game. So YouTube could become less passive, more interactive.
You got it. And speaking of pushing boundaries, we got to talk about virtual reality and augmented reality. Imagine watching 360-degree videos on YouTube, immersing yourself in a creator's world, or even attending virtual concerts and events.
That's wild. It blurred the lines between the physical and digital world, unlike anything we've seen before.
Totally. It could change how we experience entertainment, travel, education. So many possibilities. And that ties into another trend that's already huge. Live streaming. Real-time interaction. That sense of immediacy. A shared experience between creators and their audience.
Yeah, it's like bringing the energy of a live concert or a sporting event online. Think about those possibilities. Live Q&As, game streams, even virtual meet and greets.
Oh, for sure. Live streaming could lead to more spontaneous, off-the-cuff content, too. It further blurs the lines between what's professional and what's amateur. It's a really exciting time for all of that.
So for our listeners out there, what does all this mean? As YouTube keeps changing, you're going to have more choices than ever. You can create your own viewing experience, connect with creators live, even become a creator yourself.
Absolutely. It's never been easier to get started. Smartphone, internet connection, that's all you need to share your story with the world. It's pretty amazing.
It is. But as YouTube grows, we also have to talk about the challenges, right? We talked about copyright, but there's also misinformation, hate speech, algorithmic bias. Tough problems with no easy answers.
You're not wrong. It's a constant balancing act for YouTube, but it's so important to talk about these things, find solutions that, support creativity while protecting users and keeping the platform healthy.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up our YouTube deep dive, I want to leave everyone with this question. What's the next YouTube level disruption out there? What's that next platform that's going to change how we create and consume content?
Ooh, the million-dollar question. The internet's always changing. YouTube's just one chapter in a much bigger story.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be a part of it all.
It really is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of YouTube. Hope you learned something new, gained a new appreciation for what this platform is and how it got here. Keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to lead the next wave of online innovation.
So that was today's episode of my Side Hustle Weekend podcast. For everyone listening, if you're ready to take action on what you learned today, here's where you can find more resources. First, head over to sidehustleweekend.com. I've put together detailed guides, templates, and case studies. And while you are there, don't miss out on my free newsletter, Side Hustle Weekend. If you found value in today's discussion, hit that like button and subscribe to join our Weekend Hustlers community. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our episodes where we break down more side hustle strategies. Check the description below for all the tools and resources we mentioned today. Remember, everyone's journey starts with a single step. Whether you're looking to make an extra $500 a month or build something bigger, start with what you learned today and take action. So, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode where we'll break down another practical way to grow your income.